Welcome back to the 10 components of language acquisition. We're going to start with number 1, which we said is Lashon Hatorah, the language of the Torah itself. You recall our icon is a simple aleph base to remind us that the first skill that we want our children to master, what we're going to see in a few moments, the 10 components of language acquisition. Lashon Hatorah, language of the Torah. Lashon HaKodesh, the perfect language. The first component the surais, the actual shape of the letters. The second component is going to be the nakudais. The third is the actual blending. To be able to understand how the aleph, which is a silent letter, with the segel underneath it, is going to be or if it's a base with a segel, it will be be. So that's called blending. That's being mischaber, joining the ice, the letter, with the nakuda, with its vowel. First is the ice. Second are the nakudais, and third is the blending. The fourth level we said is reading accuracy, and then the fifth level is reading fluency. In the full training, you get all 6 levels of how to help a child correct themselves, because in the mitzvah of teshuvah, where Kadosh Baruch Hu wants us to engage our own bechira, He wants us to make the decision to change ourselves. What's the point in someone forcing me or giving me all the right answers? Then I don't own the answer myself. I'm just going to be an extension of you. So it's like almost cheating. You give me the answer to the problem on a test, so it's not me who's answering it. I'm just getting it from someone else. So real teshuvah means that it's coming from the inside out, not the outside in. So in the case of a child learning to read, the worst thing we can do, and we've covered this in the Hashkafa part of the series, the worst thing I can do is correct the child. Because if I correct the child, what message am I sending his brain? I'm telling him, you can't figure this out yourself. What's the most important, if you want to call, end result of all the 10 parts of the components of language acquisition? And the answer is independence. You want the child to be independently able to make sense of any pasuk or a Mishnah or Gemara, and that's going to depend on reading accuracy and fluency based on the clear distinction between one ice and another and all the nakudas and correct blending. Number 6 is vocabulary. And we mentioned earlier, we want the child to become familiar with the most important, I can't say most important, but the most frequently reappearing words in Chumash, because those are the ones we want the child to be really fluent and tremendous mastery over, in order that they have the maximum chance of making sense of the vast majority of Chumash. When we say the vast majority, there's a very specific equation over here, because we're giving them 303 most common 2-3 letter root words, and with them the child will be able to make sense out of over 81%, somewhere between 81 and 84% of the entire Chumash, because he knows all the shorashim, prefixes and suffixes, that will enable him to have translatability. I don't think there's such a word, but I'm using that anyway. Translatability of 80+% of Chumash, and for that matter, Nevi'im Rishonim. That's all of Yeshua, Shoftim, Shmuel Aleph and Beis, and Melachim Aleph and Beis. Number 7 of this, and number 8, is prefixes and suffixes, also known as the shimushim. That's what we want the child to be familiar with. And finally, number 9, that will give the child the ability to decode. Decode, I'm using in this particular context to mean to break a word down. He'll look at the word Av, means father. Avi, my father. Avicha, your father. Avos, fathers. Avihem, their fathers. Oh, interesting. Avoisam, their father. Interesting. So the way the prefixes and suffixes are added to the beginning and end of a word adjust the meaning of the word, modify its meaning. And when a child knows all the prefixes and suffixes, he will be able to make sense out of how a word is constructed. So I'm using the word decode to be able to break the word down and then reconstruct it. And then number 10, because he has these 9 abilities, these 9 skills if you want to call them, that's why he's going to now be ready. His mind has been prepared, wired and programmed, developed, nurtured for analysis. Analysis is Eon. We've talked about that a little bit before. So now what we're going to do is going to look at how do we help a child, especially based on the Hashkafa part of the series in Al Pi Darkai, how do we help a child to be able to make sense out of all the different shapes of the letters? So as a basic introduction, what I have to share with you is really the following. Going with Chazal, because that's the best way to go, trust Chazal implicitly, meaning Chazal don't give us opinions. Chazal didn't take a statistical analysis of popular opinion or what people have been saying till now. Chazal is a Masorah. Masorah means this is information that it's at its source is Mipi HaGevura. The first Mishnah in Pirkei Avos lays it all out. Moshe Kibbel Torah Sinai, Uv Masrua L'Yeshua, V'Yeshua L'Zkenim, Zkenim Neviim, L'Neviim, Masrua L'Anshei Knesset Gdola. So we have a Masorah. That means to say that our sages, when they give us information about Chinuch, it's not a personal opinion, it's reality. This is the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu programmed the mind of a child. So let's look at the demarcation points along the map, if you want to call it, of how a child develops in their ability to acquire language. We're going to do this in more detail in the training, but this is a preliminary outline. And that is number 1. The first demarcation line that our sages give us, you'll find in Melamdei Hilchas Melamdei Tanaikas, in Shulchan Aruch, and in Yeridea. You will find that the Lashon of the Ramah is Ben Shalosh Shanim Shalemim La'Oisius. 3 full years old, a child starts learning the Oisius. So you have the first demarcation line. This is when the children learn the Suras Ha'is, the letters. I'm not going to go into detail now about different Masorah, about do you teach the names of the letters, the sounds of the letters. There are 3 components here: shape, name, and sound. Not necessarily in that order. So, for example, we have very commonly found Rebbeim are teaching the name of a letter and the Nakuda, and then doing the blending. This works for many children. For some children, it's actually confusing. Why would it possibly be confusing? Because let's figure this out together. Of the 3 components, the name of the letter, the sound it makes, if it's a bass, a b, gimel, a g, dal, a d sound, and the shape of the letter. Of those 3, which is the most important first item the child has to have mastery of? The name, sound, or shape? And the answer is the shape. You want the child to know the shape of the letter in its distinction, in its discrimination from another letter that might even look very similar. Gimel, Nun are often mixed up. Vav and end of Nun are very often confused. Very often it's a pei and a fei are confused. Sometimes a mem and a tes are confused. So you want the child to be able to discriminate between all the different shapes with such a level of mastery that he knows the etzem tzuras ha'is of every font. That means to say, no font is going to throw him off. He recognizes, oh, this is an aleph, even though it's a different font. Oh, this is a base, gimel, dalet, etc., even though it's a different style font than the one he's used to. So of the 3, you want the child to know the shape of the letter first. Number 2, you want to know what sound it makes. Aleph and ayin, for the most part, are really, we claim, silent letters. Ayin is actually, strictly speaking, not a silent letter, it's a guttural letter, but you have to listen to the way Sfardim and Yemenite Jews correctly sound an ayin from the back of the throat. Aleph is a silent letter, but all the others actually do sound according to its namesake. Bass has a b sound, g, gimel, g sound, d, daled, lamed. There's no fooling around. This is Hashem's language, which is phonetic. That means it sounds as it is. I'll give you a simple contrast. English is a nightmare. L has a E sound at the beginning. H has a A-E sound at the beginning. F has another E sound. So before you get to the F part of the F, which is actually the sound of the letter, you're sounding out something else. So it's not like B, which is a B sound, and D. There are too many letters that are so confusing that they aren't what you hear. L, F, H. So Hebrew doesn't go like that. Lashon Hatorah is a perfect language. There is no fooling around. The letter sounds out what it is. Hey, you hear the H sound. Mem. Tough. You hear the T at the beginning of the letter. So this makes it much easier for children to be able to make sense out of the letter, and that's why it's important that the first base should be the tsuras eis, second base is the sound of the letter, and third, which is much less important initially, is the actual name of the letter. We're not going into the Masorah of how it came out that we're doing what we're doing. Very briefly, that's because of enlightenment. Over 100 years ago, they were actually trying to drop some of the letters from the Aleph base, claiming that it's not a divine language, Rahman al-Islam. They want to take out the taf because there's a t sound in the tet, so why do we need a taf? And they were doing the same with several other letters. So in order to davka make a point of the importance of the Isis and the Nekudais, we changed the Masorah from whatever works for the child to Aleph Kamas A, Beis Kamas Ba, etc. And now we're saying out the name and the name of the name of the letter and the name of the Nekuda on the assumption that that's how to teach a child. Some kids get it. There are too many who don't. And there's a simple reason. There's no mystery over here. There's nothing about the name that helps the child understand its surah. The surah is what the child has to master. And so what we're doing is we're going to a different level of learning way before he's mastered the first level. The first level is get the surah of get the shape of the letter clear in your mind. Yes, we should teach all the names of the letters and their sounds. I'm not against that at all, Has v'Shalom. And in the full training, you'll see how we do that. We teach every single name of every single letter every single day. It only takes a few seconds, 30, 40 seconds max. We sing every morning. We call it routine and ritual. We sing Aleph base from Aleph to Taf every morning using a laser pen. We point to the letters on the wall so that the children are getting, 3-year-olds, they're getting the picture, literally, getting the picture, this is a surah of an ice, this is a surah of an ice, this is a surah of an ice, this has a name Aleph, this has a name Beis, this has a Gimel, and through osmosis, over the weeks and months, the child absorbs how there is a distinct shape with its name for each letter. But what we're going to be sharing with you right now is how to have children spend a lot of time, I'm talking about hundreds of hours, spending a lot of time mastering the shapes of the letters. And you want them to be able to do that from the age of 3. Because the next demarcation line Chazal give us, and remember, just trust Chazal, is Ben Chamesh Shanim L'Mikra. That's the last Mishnah, pretty much in the Perek Hey of Pirkei Avos. But as you know, Mishnayos are also headlines, just like the Targum Mitzvahs are headlines in the Chumash. Mishnayos is also headlines. Chazal are very makpid in describing that if someone paskins from the Mishnah, it's Ki'ilu, he's a destroyer of the world. Because the Mishnayos was not written to paskin from. The Mishnayos was the first time to put in writing the Torah Sheba'al Peh. But it's only an outline. It's cryptic, terse language. It's such an abridged language, Kitzur Lashon, that you need the Gemara, which took 300 years to write down all the missing information on the Mishnah. So what we're saying here is that the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos is the outline. Go to Shulchan Aruch, Hilchos Melamdei Tinaikos, and you'll see Ben Chamesh Shanim Shleimim. Ben Chamesh Shanim L'Mikra means 5 full years. He's 6. Look at the small print. This is from the Torah and the Rambam, and it's paskin this way. Im chalish begufoi ay bedasai. If the child's body or mind is weak, and that doesn't mean unintelligent, doesn't mean slow, doesn't mean he's not clever, just means he's not ready. Chalish is weak. And like any muscle, you flex it enough, guess what? It gets stronger. If the mind is weak, and we will talk about this much more in the full training, which really means the child is not fully associating sounds and shapes. It takes time for a child to really have a secure connection between a sound and a shape. And that's what the child's doing the first 2 years of their silent lives. Well, silent between their cries and screams for hunger, they're not articulating words. They're not articulating sentences. Well, so what are they doing the first 2 years? And the answer is their brain is real busy. I mean, real busy. What's their brain doing? Taking in everything. Every sound, every image, everything they touch that they sensorially have a interface with, the child is busy putting together thousands and thousands and thousands. If I told you it's millions, you'd think I'm exaggerating, but it wouldn't be. It's really hundreds of thousands and millions of images and sounds that the child is experiencing and is associating. Oh, mummy, daddy, brother, sister, pen, shirt, tie, hand, finger, nose, eyes, glasses. The child is hearing words so many times and he's associating mummy with this face, daddy with this face, brother with this face, table. And in the world of the physical, concrete world that the child lives in, his brain for the first 2 years, before he's going to be busy talking, is already storing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of words, which he's hearing again and again, and he's seeing, experiencing, so that his brain is organizing through association. Mommy means this person here, daddy this person here, hand, eye, legs, jacket, tie, glasses, friend, house, kitchen, hundreds and hundreds of words. How far does this go? Well, I'll tell you. If you have a child who's exposed at home to a mother and father who speak English and French, how many languages will the child begin talking at the age of 2? The answer is 2. If the child is exposed to 3 languages, Yiddish, Hebrew, and English, 3 languages. If he's exposed to 4 languages, how many languages will he be speaking at the age of 2, 3, 4 years old? And the answer is 4 languages. That's amazing. You see, what some people call a sensitive period. There are periods in a child's life where they are most sensitive, receptive to mastering language. Chazal gave us those demarcation lines. It's from 5 till 10 years old. Ben 5 shanim l'mikra, ben 10 l'mishnah. 10 years old for learning Mishnayos. Oh, so what are they doing those 5 years? Well, Surah Ois is at 3, or 3 full years, all the way till 5. Im chalish badata, he hasn't finished making the associations. They're not strong enough, it's not secure, it's not clear 100%. How the sound of the word matches that physical item or that concept. Make peace with your brother. So the word peace, he realizes probably something positive, but he's not sure what. So it's an abstract concept. You've got to love your father and your mother. So the word love, ava, is not a concrete word in the child's mind, but by way of association and in context, he starts to pick it up on his own. So halash b'dato simply means he hasn't finished making the connections. And that's what the mind is busy doing for 2 solid years, pretty much. Now, when he's introduced to the Surah Ois, he's got 2 full years, from 3 till 5. And if you go with Chalash B'dato, it's been Sheva or Shmaina. Oh my gosh, you got till 7 or 8 years old. Oh wow, you got a lot of time here to master language, reading. We don't have the luxury of waiting for a kid for 7 or 8 years old to finish being able to read. No, we have different pressure. Whether it's right, whether it's wrong, that's the reality. If the kid's not reading within 1st grade, within the first few months, it's going to be a problem. Because the Rebbe is going to be going ahead in Chumash, and if he can't follow inside, he's going to fall behind. And if he falls behind, he's going to start thinking, well, I can't read very well, I can't read fast enough, maybe something's wrong with me. I'm not smart, I'm not clever I'm not as intelligent, I'm slow, I'm finding reading hard, this is difficult, I really want to read, but I can't. And slowly, slowly, he goes from craving to read to wanting to read, to not enjoying it, to not liking it, to hating it, and then goes to the minus side of the scale, and the kid starts turning off. And his mind starts wandering, if he's got a healthy mind, and starts looking around and might get mischievous, might be a little bit of a discipline problem, and before you know it, he's accused of ADD and ADHD. Hey, we have a serious problem on our hands. So what I'm basically claiming is, if we follow Chazal, I hate using that language, but if we were to take Chazal more seriously and realize, oh, 1 second, we've got a 3-year period, from the age of 3 till Chamesh Shanim Shleimim, 6. I've got a 3-year period to help the child become extremely familiar with all the shapes of all the letters and all the sounds that the Nakudos make when added to the letter. And that's in the first 2 components of the 10 parts to language acquisition is Suras Ha'is, all the Nakudos, and then the blending. That's what we need the child to be proficient, absolute mastery in. And what happens if we follow Al Pi Darkai, just follow Chazal? What would happen if you've got hundreds, and I may be exaggerating slightly, but dozens and dozens of materials, physical, educational materials, which help the child from the age of 3 and 4 and 5 spend a lot of time playing, actively interacting with physical materials that teach him the shape of the letters, teach him the kudos, teach him the sounds, so he can start blending, which is the prerequisite to reading. So watch this. So how can we help children at the age of 3 become totally familiar with all the shapes of all the letters as they're ready and at their pace and in a way that's endearing and that will talk to their strength, their intelligence? All these, as you know, are the 4 components of Darkai, his way, when he's ready, in a way that's endearing, in his strength, and of course at his pace. So I'm going to share with you some of the materials that have been designed to reflect these 4 ways of understanding Darkai. The first one is this material here. It's a chart of all the letters, and we have a second chart which we've cut up so the letters are exactly the same, but they are in little rectangles, and we'll play a matching game. Moshe, would you like to come and see this matching game, and I'll show you how to play it, and when I'm finished, I'll show you where we keep this material, and whenever you want, you can take it from the shelf and do it yourself. He might say, oh yeah, Rebbe, I saw Nehemiah playing with it yesterday, and yeah, I really would like to learn how to do it. Okay, so watch what I do, and at this moment onwards, that's the end of the entire use of words. Why? Because the child is in the world of concrete, and I want the least number of words because they're in language acquisition. They haven't acquired language yet, and the more words I use, the more it's going to distract them from the role modeling. That's the key here. I want them to see me role model how to use the material, because it's the shapes which are concrete, physical, that's much more important than anything else. I want them to pay attention to the shapes. So I'm going to ask him to watch what I do, and you'll tell me when you're ready. Okay, how long did that take? 30 seconds, 40 seconds? So I'll do it with another card or 2, and before you know it, I'll have the whole first line covered. If you think for a 3-year-old it'll be overwhelming, then I would cover these 3 rows and just do 1 row, or you can do it on a smaller area. We have the same thing, can cut it up into quarters. That's not a problem. I'm just giving you an example where you can have a child playing with an activity. I'm not crazy about the word playing, because really it's an educational experience, but the playing part is that he's enjoying it. So once the child has done this, how does he feel about himself? He's slowly recognizing the shapes of all letters, and he's just really playing a matching game. So what ends up happening is the child will reveal to me which letters are clear to him, which ones are not. And that's great, because now I get to spend more time one-on-one helping him identify the difference between one letter and another, the ones that he might be making mistakes with. But I wouldn't correct the child, because there's so many different materials, literally dozens, and when you combine one material with another, you can literally have hundreds of combinations of different activities that children can do in order to memorize and have really deeply penetrated into their minds the shapes of every single letter. So for example, an extension of this would be, Moshe, I noticed that you finished the entire chart. Let's take a picture of it. You know how to use the camera? Oh, very good. Let's put it in your portfolio. If we take a picture of each letter, you can even make a banner out of it or a book, and you can staple it and take it home or put it in his portfolio to show parents at the end of the year or in the PTA how well he's doing. Moshe, I noticed that you finished the entire chart. Let me show you what's another activity that we do after this. And then we'll take a set of cards which are same aleph base, different font. Because we want the child to be able to identify the etzem surah of the ice, the essential shape of the letter. So that eventually we want him to be able to understand that even though this vase here is not exactly the same as that one, but it's close enough that he'll match it correctly. What I will probably do is, I'm not giving you the full training now, I'm just giving you sampling of how children can learn the shape of the letters and the nakudos and blending with lots of materials. So a typical question I would ask him is, Moshe, is this vase here completely different to this one or almost exactly the same? Oh, it's almost the same, very good. And if he tells me, oh, Rebbe, it's completely different, so I ask him, thank you, can you show me where? So he might say, well, this is thicker and this is thinner. Oh, good. So does that make it completely different or is it almost the same? And if he shows me that he still thinks it's completely different, I'll probably back off because I'll feel, you know what, most likely he's not ready to see that they are almost exactly the same. And I don't want him to get the impression, oh, Moshe, you know what, there's no point in asking you, can't you see they're almost exactly the same? This is ridiculous. Look, okay, it's a little bit thinner, but it's really the same shape. Can't you see that? Once I'm slightly exaggerating, but once I start making him wrong or dictating, lecturing, etc., the worst thing that I want that could happen in the child's mind is, I don't enjoy this. This is not so easy. I see them as different. Why is the Rebbe saying they're almost exactly the same? They're not exactly the same. So I use that language, is this completely different, almost exactly the same, for the child to reveal to me what's going through his mind, how he looks at that shape. Most children are going to come, but there'll be a few that won't. And then when I point out, oh, can you show me where it's not the same? And he'll show me, and I say, oh, so does that make it completely different, or is it still nearly the same? Most children right there will tell you, oh, it is nearly the same. If he tells me it's still different, then good, that's great news. That's great news. Then that's the first part of Darko. Is he ready? Because if he's not ready for Surah Isis, hey, well, there's lots of other activities we can work with in order to help the child get there sooner. So this is one activity. You can have a child literally using lots of different fonts, and I can ask him, Moshe, could you pick out 5 different fonts from the shelves and match it to the aleph base? This would be facing down horizontally on a table. I'm putting it up here for the sake of the camera so that you can see it more clearly. Another extension of this is this chart over here. This chart over here, a child will be offered, let's say, to play a dial game where they'll push the dial and it lands on, in this case, it landed on a hay. So he has to go to this set over here and find a hay. And as he does it, guess what he's doing? He's doing Chazara. He's searching for the shape. Once he's found it, then he'll place it. He's got to find the hay over here. Let's see if we can find the hay. There's a ches. I don't see a hay. Oh, there we are. There's the hay. So he'll place that on here. Again, this would be horizontal. So I'm just going to use a piece of Fontec. So you got the... And then it's his friend's turn. And they keep dialing lots of different games until they finish placing all the pieces. Here a different type of font on a different type of tile. And this one you can also use for the same game or can be used for this mat where the child pulls out, in this case it's a nun, and he has to find where is nun on this chart, and he puts it inside the little pocket. And then it's his friend's turn, or he doesn't have to work with a friend. If he wants to work on his own, he can work with on it, and he can spend hours. He'll place these out on a mat or on a surface, and then take one at a time and search for the pocket for it. Lots and lots of activities where children are learning to match shapes. Lots of activities. Moshe, would you like me to show you how to use the sandbox and the letters? Oh yeah, Rebbe, I saw you using it with Mordechai yesterday. Good, I noticed, and when you came by, I noticed you were watching for a while. So just watch what I do, and then you'll tell me if you're ready to do it yourself. This is a sandpaper letter. I'm going to trace it twice with my fingers. The reason why I'm going to do that twice is because I want the sensorial experience of the contrast between the very smooth and the slightly rough sandpaper letter, so that the tzuras ha'os, the shape of the letter, is being traced by my finger 2 times, and my mind is getting from my nervous system through my fingers the shape of the letter, and using what's called the law of recency, while the nervous system still has the image in my mind of its shape, I will immediately then shape it inside this box. So the actual lesson is actually only tracing this twice and then going straight to the box. If you like what you've done, then have the child take a picture of his tzuras ha'os. Moshe, would you like to do another one? Once you've taught him one letter, do you think he can figure out all the rest on his own? Yeah, because we're not teaching right now the names. The names we learn every single morning. As you recall, we do by osmosis. But over here, he may say to me, Rebbe, what's its name? Or I may ask, do you know the name of this letter? Nope. And I may say, shall I tell you? And if he says yes, I'll go for it. Otherwise, I'll ask him if he can point on the wall to which letter he thinks this is the shape of that we sing every morning. And then maybe we'll sing it right up to that letter and then call its name. But I'm not worried about the names. That's the least important right now. The most important is the tzuras ha'os, the actual shape of the letters. You want the kids really getting clear the precise, exact tzuras ha'os shape of each letter, so that there's no confusion between one letter and another. Because all that's obviously preliminary in preparing the child to be able to read. So let's trace it twice. Now, obviously, I'm doing this backwards. If I was, for the camera's sake, if I'm doing it with the child would be sitting next to me, and I'll be going like this twice, and then like this, and he's facing it. But I'm doing this for the camera's sake, so you understand what I'm doing. There shouldn't be any confusion. Now, once I've taught him 1 or 2, maximum 3, guess what? Is he able to choose his own 3 or 4 letters? Moshe, would you like to choose 3 or 4? And my guess is he's going to say yes, and he'll trace them himself. And then I'll ask the child, Moshe, do you want to take a photo of your letter? Most kids are going to say, yeah. If you teach them how to use the camera, or have the 3-year-old teach you how to use the camera, and then show them how to print it out. If you have a print in the classroom, let them print it out. And should we make a banner out of the oisius, or do you want to make a book out of them? Should we put the letters in the order as they are on the wall or on the chart here, and have him figure out how to take the photos that he's taken of his oisius and make it into a banner, into a book, and staple it, and that's his first book, an Aleph Beis book. Lots of different materials that will have the children busy doing lots of different activity, all related to learning the tzuras ha'os, the shape of the letters. Lots and lots of activities. Let me share with you what happens if you've got a child that's really not interested in the oisius. He's gravitating to, I don't know, fire trucks and Play-Doh, and he's playing with the Lego and building blocks. Great. whatever he gravitates to is a clue to us, the teachers, of how to reach that kid. So instead of me pulling the kid away from, Moshe, you've been on the easel all week. Enough with the painting. My paycheck depends on you knowing how to read. You're ruining my reputation. Come away from here. You've got to do the letters now. Now, of course, I'm slightly exaggerating, and no one really speaks that way, but I'm just trying to bring out a point. Instead of having the kid be pulled away from something he's gravitating to, take that as a clue. Moshe, I noticed that you really are good with the easel, and you're really good with the blocks. And I'm wondering if you could help me, because you're so good with the blocks, Moshe. Could you choose from me any of the shapes of the letters from the Aleph base box over here? Just one or two for now. Any you like. I don't mind which ones. You want to use? Okay, good. Can you trace it with your fingers? Thank you. Could you figure out which blocks we need to use to make the shape of this letter? Good. I knew you could do this. Moshe, could you take a photo of it? Because I want to make a book. First one, I guess the book will belong to you, but I'd like to have a book in the classroom so the kids can see how to make the shapes out of the blocks themselves. Now let me ask you, you have a kid who gravitates to blocks and that's all he wants to play with. So do I have to pull him away from Dar Kai? That's his way. Or can I get Aleph base doing Dar Kai his way? Yeah, let's go with the child. Follow the kid. That's what Dar Kai means. The child is the one who's dictating how to reach him. He doesn't dictate the actual curriculum. He doesn't tell me Aleph base or not. He doesn't tell me he does or doesn't want to learn Chumash. I'm not giving him a choice in that. But he's going to teach me how to reach him. Because that's what Al Bidarka really means. Okay, so these are simple examples where the child will learn, oh, here's a Dalet. Maybe here's an end of Chaf. I mean, there's so many letters that he's going to be able to create using these blocks. Oh, wonderful. It's an Aleph. Oh, good. Which one are you making now? Oh, that's a base. Or a vase. Maybe we'll put something in the middle to make it a base. So have the child build letters, literally, by themselves. And the kid's going to be endeared. So go with the child when the child is ready. Do it in a way that's at his pace and endearing, and with materials that speak to lots of different modalities, learning skills, lots of different intelligences. In this particular activity, for example, you're using your hands. So that's physical intelligence or kinesthetic intelligence. If you're going to sequence the letters in a banner form, hey, that's mathematical intelligence. If you're going to have the child physically trace it, that's also kinesthetic intelligence. If you're going to have the child say out loud the name of the letter, that's language intelligence. So you can have multiple intelligences taking place simultaneously. The fact that he's creating the surah of the letter, that's spatial intelligence. Oh, so you can have many modalities and intelligences working simultaneously in a single activity, so that a child that would otherwise perhaps have been labeled as academically slow, unintelligent, or not just simply smart at all, will shine in his strength. And because he's endeared to the Aleph base through his strength, he ends up enjoying reading, enjoying the Surah Ais, and then the Kudas, and then the blending. Let me share with you another material. It's one of my favorites. All of these you can get from JewishInspiration.com. Here we've got lots of letters that are halves. So the child has to figure out what belongs to what. And how will you know if he's got it right? Doesn't seem to fit exactly. I wonder if it's that one. No, also not right. Well, I'm not sure. Check on the back. No, it's not matching. This is a taf and this is a resh. So this is self-correcting. This is called the control cards, because he can look at the back and control his errors, control of error. So now I know this is a resh, I'm going to search for the, maybe what I should do really is put them out. So I got, oh, I think this is, yay! I think that's a shin. Let me see if I got it right. Yay! I got it right. Okay. Let's try, ooh. Yeah! Yeah, it's a resh. Now, when you use your body language to show your own celebration, that you're feeling good about the fact that you got it right, that's going to transfer into the child. The child realizes, oh yeah, I'll keep trying. And even when I get it wrong, hey, that's not a problem, I'll try again. I think this might be the right one for tough. Let's see. Yay, I got it right. Well, saf. Oh, here's tough. I wonder if that one will work. No, it's not perfect. Let's see. Tough. Yeah, I got it right. And then this one will be, yay, saf. Curve. Sin. Yay, I think I got them all right. So have you role model with the child. You can do it more silence. You don't have to be making so much noise like I do. And when the child is ready, let him go to much more complicated. Here, quarters. So there's more combinations that can go right and can go wrong. So these are all different materials that the child can work with that is all focusing on Surah Sa'is. Let me share with you another one. This is so much fun. The kids can spend hours between all these different materials. End of half. Go round. Ooh, it's right nearby. It's a neighbor. Almost a neighbor of the chaf, end of chaf. I see it here. Iron. I think you got the point. I'm getting carried away myself. So this is really for 3-year-olds. Excuse me, 55. But it's a good feeling knowing that you can do it. So if a child will, let's say, place the hay on a ches, I would not correct the child. This is kind of self-correcting because he's going to come up with the hay over here, and he's going to be searching, and the only peg left will be a ches. So, I can then ask, Moshe, does this one belong here or here? Which one does this belong on? Oh, how do you know it belongs here? Oh, because you see the break over there. Oh, which letter is this? Oh, that's a ches. And which letter is this? Oh, that's a hay. Oh, but they look so almost the same, right? So I don't have to correct the child. I just have to ask a question and help lead him to notice the difference between one shape and another. This is such a cute game. You can create it yourself. It's a lot of time, but it's worth it. You can buy it from us also. That's a commercial. Here's a great one. I love this one. Here the child has lots of shapes of letters in here. Ooh, there's a chaf there. Chaf. Let's see, where's a chaf? Yay. I got a chaf. What else do I see? Ooh. End of mem. Chaf. I already did the chaf. Ooh, I see a tough down there. Right down there in the corner. Tough. Yeah. So, obviously you get the point. I'm going through this a little bit faster than I should ordinarily. I'll go through it very patiently, very slowly, very deliberately. Ooh, I think that's a hay. Yeah. None. And slowly you're going to get through the whole chart so that maybe I would use a different color, so more contrasting. Eventually you want the child to be able to finish the entire chart and show the Mora, the Rebbe, that they checked it all off. So these are just lots of different activities that endear the child to the Aleph base and have the child working on their own. And so you actually are almost not spending any time teaching, you're freeing yourself up to work one-on-one with the child, or to spend time observing the child to see which ICS he's got real mastery on, which ones is still perhaps confusing, and that gives you a a clue as to what to work with that child. So here, I'm going to have another cute game. I throw a die, and it lands on Sadi. And let me see. Oh, I don't have Sadi inside here. Throw it again. End of mem. Oh, it's a samach, sorry. Nope, I don't have a samach. Oh, end of mem. Nope, no end of mem. By the way, each time I don't get it, what's happening? I'm reviewing. I'm figuring out, oh, do I have this shape or not? Oh, ayin. Yeah, I have an ayin. Ayin again. Okay. Let's try a different dice. End of nun. Do I have an end of nun? Nope. Base. Do I have a base? Oh, yeah, here's a base. Now you could play this with a partner. So if the child wants, they'll take turns. One partner has a tray, he has a tray, and they will take turns to see who finishes first. I'm not encouraging competition per se, but you can have activities here where the children are gainfully employed, they're learning the Surah Ice, even when they don't get one that's part of their tray. Hey, they're still doing Chazara, they're still reviewing the shapes of letters because they're constantly discriminating. That's really the key here, to be mavchin bein surah la surah, to distinguish clearly between the shape of one letter and the other. So all this is preparation for reading. And right now there's no pressure, the child doesn't have to be reading yet, we're just learning the Surah Osius. And slowly, what ends up happening is through osmosis, the child realizes every morning, routine and ritual, we're learning all the letters of the Aleph base and its name, each name of each one. And as we're doing lots of activities during the day of Surah Ice, the child is starting to cup, oh, that's the base. Gimel. Oh, he's a Gimel. And they start coming alive, realizing, hey, I'm figuring it out myself. So, lots of activities, basically developing the mind of the child to be paying attention in detail to the shapes of letters, which is really analysis, isn't it? It's really preparation for learning Mefarshim later on, because their brain is learning to pay attention to detail, which is the forerunner, the preparation for analysis, which is paying attention to details of differences and contrasting those differences and comparing similarities. Let me share with you another favorite material. Here the child will lay out different letters. I'm laying this at an angle for you, otherwise it would be laid down for the child to work in front of them. But I'm doing this for the camera's sake. There. Let's do a Vav. Yay! And how's the kid feel? He's finished it. You want him to take a photo of it, put it in his portfolio, and this way, as the child gets through all the different materials, he's proud of his work, he's enjoying what he's doing, it's chaviv, he's going al pi darkai, because it's hitting him on so many different modalities and learning intelligences that most likely out of the 7-8 different intelligences out there, this is probably addressing, I would say, at least 3 to 5 intelligences, of which he's probably strong in at least one of those, in which case we're going to help the child master the oisius in his strength. What happens if children are frequently making mistakes between one ois and another? Perfect. That's what they're supposed to be doing when they're on the assembly line. Here we've got lots of oisius. As you can see, they're actually only 2. Oh, here's a Zion. Let's leave that aside for now. We've got lots of dalads, and children can easily mix up reish, end of chaf, and dalad. These are not unusual to mix up. So what we're going to ask the child to do is take a font that is clearly a dalad and clearly a reish. And now I'm going to ask I'm going to say, Moshe, what we're going to do is I'm going to find all the ratios and place them under the resh and all the dalads under dalad. This is a dalad. This is a dalad. Again, I'm doing this facing the camera. If the child is sitting next to me, everything is facing both of us, so it's not confusing. And eventually what you really want is the child to be able to, you're going to role model this first, where you're going to go through each one and show with your body language that you're busy making sure which one it is, until you're happy. There's a dalad. I think that's the end of Chaf. You want to take a photo? Okay, so this way the child is doing lots of work with letters which are mukhlafos, easily confused. Here we've got a pile of different fonts of mem and tes, because some children really do make mistakes between these two. So let's make them have two piles. So this is going to be mixed up and let them make two piles. Let them take a photograph, and the photograph is not just for the child to feel good about himself, but what ends up happening, it becomes a form of assessment. So you can say, oh, this is what the child did on this particular date. This is where the child is up to. This is what which letters the child is still mixing up. So all the different letters that would get are familiar with each other, different fonts of a base that could be mixed up with a kaf, for example. And you can switch between these, take the ones that the child frequently mixes up. Here you've got all the kafs, all the bases, mix them up, and then make two columns. So lots of different games and activities. Same concept, same idea. I have one more item to show you here. This is an item which the kids love. The girls actually go for this, obviously more than the boys, but it's still a great activity, and it's really good for the pincer skills, the fine motor skills of a child. And that's this item over here. It's actually already begun, and what I love about this is, number one, the child is learning to sew, and number two, he's actually going in sequence. So it's not only recognition of the letters, yeah, hey, you look up on the board, Aleph, base, Gimel, Daled, yeah, hey. And so it's going in sequence, and etc. I think, forgive me, I'm getting carried away myself. So lots of different materials where the child is going to be engaged, hopefully in a way that's endearing and makes him want to go to the next step in Surah's Ice, the Nukudais, and then the blending, which we'll cover soon. The next item I'm very excited to show you are the Aleph base puzzle sticks. Here's my control chart. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 items here. This is a die, and we're going to learn the shapes of all the letters, starting with Aleph. Aleph has a blue, green, orange. And if you're happy with it, take a photo. Base. face. Okay, take a photo and go to the next one. I think the point has been made. Oh, let's do Gimel because it's got, that's cute. I like that. It's got a Gimel. It's beautiful colors. It's made of natural wood, and the child gets to check if they're doing it right. And there's another way to play this. Kids will probably come up with their own ways as well. You throw a die, it lands on purple, and I guess that would be neutral, so it's just purple. So that means I can pull out the purple one, and I've got a choice of a ches, a base, or vase. I see it for end of chaf. I think I'll do an end of chaf. Okay? Oh, blue and pinkish. Oy, what do I need for blue? Yeah, blue. Great. I think I'll do it this way. It'll be easier for you to see. Yeah, I got the end of chaf. Okay, that was in 2 goes with the dice. I was able to do it. Otherwise, I might take a few more goes. Here I've got green and blue, so I'm allowed to take a green and a blue. Ooh, I'm going for an aleph. So now I need an orange. Nope. If you're playing with a friend, then he may get to throw the dice and see who gets to finish a surah of an entire ice first. I need an orange. Yes. Good. Now I've got my orange. Now I've got my aleph. Take a photo, and eventually, if the child wants, you can ask them, do you want to make a photo album or a banner or a book, and we'll print it? And he may say, well, I've got so many aleph-based books already. I say, good. So do you want to do something else, or do you want to have a photo copy for your own records? Most children, even if they've got a few books already, they're going to be very happy to have yet another one. So lots of materials, lots of different games, activities, surah sa'is. It's only a matter of time that the children will be ready to go to Nekudas and blending. Let me share with you a very simple aleph base matching puzzle where the child will demonstrate their mastery of all the ICS, and it's self-correcting because they're going to see by the end whether or not they've got any leftovers. And the idea basically is what the child is learning is that an ice does not have to be a very specific surah. It can actually have a fair amount of what you might call margin, because this mem is not the exact same surah as the mem in our sandpaper letters. It's not the same mem as the one on our font up here. So we want the child to recognize the etzem surah, the essential outline of the letter, even though it's not the exact same font, because the children are going to be studying from Sfarim, Chumashim, Sidurim, which don't always have the same font. So to be stuck on one font that is an aleph, but this isn't, we want the children not to have that confusion. We want them to be able to identify the etzem surah of the aleph, the base, the vase, etc., so that no matter what material they play with or work with, they'll be able to figure it out. This is a very simple activity. What you can also have is different tiles, where these ones are exactly matching, but once you see the child is ready, you can bring out a different material that's going to now be used to match with this. Oh, kaf. Chaf. What's this? Oh, there's end of mem. Where's end of mem? There. What have I got next? A samach. Where's a samach? Oh. A base. A vase. You see, I'm getting carried away again. I think that's a chaf. Is that a chaf? I'm not sure. It's a kaf. I've already got a chaf. Oh, it's already covered. Okay. Kuf. Cool. Daled. I like daled. Hey. Okay. So you can have lots of different fonts where the child is busy matching. Let me show you another activity, which is a lot of fun, very engaging, and I used it when I used to teach Parsha for preschool. In the Parsha, there are a lot of words, especially names of people that the children are already familiar with. So, for example, Sarah Imenu, Moshe Rabbeinu, Avram Avinu. We know the name Parai from Shmos. So, what I would have is a large whiteboard. Actually, the one I used was much bigger than this, but I'm giving you this as a sample. Pretend this is a whiteboard. This isn't, it's actually a flip chart, but you can do it on a flip chart too. But on a whiteboard, I would have magnetic letters all around the board. It doesn't have to be in alphabetical order. You can have it in alphabetical order if you want. And I would have them magnetically attached to the whiteboard. And then, as I'm teaching Parsha, I would choose certain words to stop at that word in the Parsha. So, for example, let's say we're learning about Parai. 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 What's the first sound in Parai? So they'll tell me, oh, it's a P sound. Oh, very good. Which ice makes a P sound? Oh, it's a pay? Oh, can you help me? And then I'll play this game where I go bzzz around the ice, yes? And then when I hit a pay, I want the children to say, pay! Bzzz, pay! Oh, pay! Here's a pay. I'll take the pay off, pretend I've got the pay, and I'll place it in the middle. Oh, very good. Parai, parai, ra, ra, para, ra. Which ice makes a r sound? And the children will say, oh, reish. So, oh, very good. Bzzz. Now, just for argument's sake, let's say I'm going to have a dalad there. Bzzz. Oh, reish. And I'll pull out the dalad. Let me see if I have a dalad here. And I say, and the children, guess what they're going to do? What are the kids going to say? No, Rebbe, that's a dalad. Oh, this is a dalad? Oh, it looks like a reish. Oh, I see. What's the difference between a dalad and a reish? And I'll have the children show me who knows and who can tell me. So I'm pretending to make a mistake in order the children will learn, number one, it's okay to make a mistake. Mistakes are good. Yeah, mistakes are really good because they're the best teachers for teaching me what's right. Oh, and if I'm going to help the children have that hashkafa, guess what's going to happen to their fear of making mistakes? Increase or decrease? It's going to decrease. And is it okay to make mistakes? Well, you might argue no, but I'm going to claim, well, actually, does Hashem expect us to make mistakes? And if someone says no, I said, well, why does he give us a mitzvah of teshuvah? Oh, because he's expecting me to make a mistake. Oh, why does he give us Yom Kippur? Oh, because it's a whole day devoted to fixing my mistakes. Oh, so he's expecting me to make mistakes. Oh, so are mistakes okay? Yeah, I'm not saying do them, but I'm saying, hey, it's part of being human. Duh. And is it all right for children to make mistakes? Yes. It's more than all right. Because they are tzaddikim. At least till 12 and one day for a girl. At least till 13 for a boy. There's nothing they can do wrong up until that age. They're not accountable. Oh. So it's okay for me to teach them how to respond to a mistake. Oh, I see. This is a reish. Okay, so let me go back to it. Bzzz, parai, ra, ra, bzzz. And then the kids will scream out, oh, reish. Oh, yeah, reish, here it is. And I pull it off and say, oh, very good. Parai, right. Is there anything else in parai? So some children might tell me, some they'll say, no, that's enough. I say, okay, let's see if I got it, if I spelt it right. And I might open up to Perek Aleph in Parshas Shmos and check out the spelling there. But I'm just giving you that as an option. Here's another example. I'm in the Jewish calendar and we're teaching Purim. And as we're telling the story of Purim, I might mention a certain personality whose name is Haman. Do you think the kids have heard of him before? Oh, Haman. 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 What's the first sound in Haman? Oh, it's a H sound. Which ice makes a H? Oh, it's a hey. Oh, so let's play the game. And I go around the board. I see I don't actually have a hay, so I'm going to put one in here. Hey! Oh, very good. Let's take the hay. Good. I'll put it in the middle. What's the next sound in Haman? Haman. Haman. Oh, it's a M sound? Oh, which ice makes a M sound? Oh, it's a mem? Oh, very good. Oh, here's the mem. Very good. So pull the mem off and Haman. Which ice makes a N sound? Oh, it's a nun? which nun do I want? A regular nun or end of nun? Oh, it's at the end of his name? Oh, so I need an end of nun? Okay. Bzzz. Oh, here's a nun. And the children say, no, Rebbe, that's not an end of nun. Oh, right, I forgot, I need an end of nun. I'm going to pretend to make a mistake because I want the kids to see. How do I respond to it? Do I go, oh, I'm so silly. I always make mistakes. Or do I say, oh, right, that's not the end of nun. Bzzz. Oh, here's the end of nun. Bzzz. Good, Haman. I might even role model for the children, oh, how should I act when I get the wrong one? Should I start beating myself up? Oh, I'm so silly, I have no brains, I'm a silly boy. And the children, of course, are going to laugh. Or should I say, oh, no, oh, right, that's not the nun I'm looking for. I know why I made the mistake, because it is a nun, but it's not the end of a nun. So help the children see, I'm not going to beat myself up over it, and it's really okay, and just keep going weiter. Let go, move forward, because that's what teshuvah is, change direction. Don't get stuck in the wrong letter. Oh, I'm so silly, I'm so dumb, I'm so stupid, I'm so unintelligent, I'm so slow, I'll never get the Aleph base. Or do we just move forward? Oh, right, that's not the end of nun. Oh, here's the end of nun. Haman, very good. So these are very simple ways. Use the parsha time. You don't have to do this with every single name that comes up in the parsha, but I'm sharing that if you're going to teach parsha anyway, take advantage if you have a whiteboard, if you want to use a flip chart or whatever it is that you're using, a regular chalkboard, have the oisius along the side and be able to have some sort of movable oisius that you can, in this case I used Funtech, the blue tech, to pin it to the board. I'm just going to give you one last example because I want to share with you where I want to go along with the children if they make a mistake. So for example, we'll get up to the parsha, let's say we're learning about Sarah Imenu, and she's kidnapped in the palace of Avimelech in Perek Chaf in Bereshis. So I say, oh, Sarah. Which is the first ice in Sarah's name? Sarah. And now the kids might tell me it's a samach, okay? Samach. And I pull out a samach, I'll put it on the board. Samach. What's the next ice in Sarah's name? Reish. Oh, very good. Sarah. Oh, here's a reish. And they scream out reish, and I'll put the reish. Is there any other name, any other ice in Sarah? Is there Sarah? Is there a h sound at the end? Now, if they say no, I'll say, could I check that? And I might even say, one moment, is there another ice in the Aleph base which makes the same sound as samach? Can anyone tell me which ice makes the same sound as samach? Oh, sin! Oh, so which one is it? Is it samach or is it a sin? Because they make the same sound. How do I spell Sarah's name? Can anyone tell me? So the kids will have maybe a vote between them, but I say, you know what? Let's look it up in a chumash. Now, obviously you need to be a little bit prepared. So if you know that Sarah Imenu, she's mentioned from pretty much Perek Yud Aleph Yud Beis onwards, all the way till Perek Chaf Gimel. So I'll probably pull out Chaye Sarah, Parshas Chaye Sarah, Perek Chaf Gimel, and I'll say, oh look, here at the top of Parshas Chaye Sarah, oh, it's a samach. No, it's a sin. Oh, sorry, it's a sin. And help the children see it's okay for me to make a mistake, it's okay for you to make a mistake, and then realize, oh no, this is not a samach, this is a sin. Oh, Sarah, oh, there's a hey at the end. And show them Chaye Sarah, Parshas Chaye Sarah, where the name is and how it's spelt. So help them see that in the process of learning the sounds of letters, it's okay to make mistakes. And not only is it okay, we're going to use the mistake to move forward and not to hold us back. That's the most important lesson, perhaps even than the actual technical mastery of the sin and the samach. We want the children to really understand that we are not afraid of making mistakes because we're going to learn. And probably the learning is going to be even stronger, more penetrating because of the mistake. As Chazal tell us, that a person only learns what he's nichshal in, what he stumbles in. So this is a great opportunity, Parsha time, for the children to reveal to you what they're up to, what they're getting, and simultaneously to teaching Parsha, you're teaching the Isis, you're teaching the names, you're teaching the sounds, and you're teaching spelling. What I found when I first started introducing this in Parsha, what I found that during recess, the children would gravitate, if it was especially winter and they were in the classroom, they would gravitate to the whiteboard and they would start spelling out, using the magnetic letters, spelling out their names or their friends' names. And in the case of the girls, what they would often do is spell out all the names of their family siblings. And so it didn't matter if they're spelling correctly or not. The idea is that they're endeared to take something they know and go with it. They know the letters, they know the sounds, and they end up wanting to show, oh, now that I know what this letter sounds like, I can spell out my sister's name, Shoshana. Sh. Oh, there's two sh's and a n. Shoshana, Peril, Miriam, Chanlala. So the children will come up with their own extensions. So these are lots of different ways to have the children excited about learning how to read. We're ready to go to another material. For those teachers who are really conscientious, I would strongly suggest using something like a mat, like this over here, in order to create the demarcation lines of the work area. And the chokhmah, the wisdom behind this, is very simple. There are children who are accused of ADD, ADHD. Here we have a situation where there's so many children who are having a difficult time focusing. But what happens if you provide for them a work area and you show them the perimeters? This is the frame, these are the borders, and now what you're really telling the child is that all the work is going to be taking place within this mat, within these borders. So you're actually telling the mind of the child exactly where to focus. You're helping the eyes of the child recognize that anything outside of this mat is irrelevant to the work that I'm doing right now. So it's actually a very simple ploy, a very simple strategy to help children focus on their immediate work. So here's dice, and here's our ocean, and here are fish. And we're going to play kind of go fish. We're going to lay out fish in the ocean. And this is an activity that a child can do either on their own, or they can do with a teacher or with a partner. And let's take the dice out and throw one. Oh, it landed on tough. Oh, there's a tough. My turn. Yay! I would probably have a little container to... Now it's your turn. Okay, here's your one, and throw the die. Oh, it landed on ches. Ches. Ooh, there's ches. Yay! And we'll put it into the yellow container. So this is a very simple game which children can be engaged in. And if you think about it, really what's happening is constant chazara, constant review on several levels. Every time they throw the die, they are looking at the letter to distinguish it between any other letter. Then they're searching for the correct one over here. And as they search, I found it very quickly. I should have shown you how, where's the tough? Oh, here's the tough. As I'm going like this, maybe even I would say, oh no, this is a saf. I need a tough. And then show the child how you yourself are going through a screening process of identifying the exact correct shape. So chazara is taking place with the dice. Chazara is taking place as you search for the right fish and place it into its container. And then as you're watching your friend, your partner, do his turn, it's also chazara. So these are very simple ways to, number one, teach children as they're ready. That's al pi darkai. Number two, at their pace, because they're going to be telling you if they're ready to do a particular material. Number three, you're doing it with material which is chaviv. The information itself is endearing because it's beautiful materials. And number four, you're doing it in a way that touches multiple intelligences, multiple learning styles, modalities. So you have your body moving over here, which is, as we've said before, physical and kinesthetic intelligence. We've got sequencing of the oisius, which is mathematical intelligence. And you've got language intelligence if you're going to be calling out the letter. So you've got multiple intelligence taking place in any one activity. There are many extensions. The children will come up with their own extension work, ideas of how to extend this work. What they might want to do is actually lay out the fish in the order of the aleph base as they catch them. They can do that a little bit later after they've done a lot of catching, then pull them out and lay them out in in sequence. And again, I recommend have them take a photo or have them teach you how to take a photo. And mind you, they're 3 years old, so you really might need a lot of help. And then add it into their portfolio, their folder, concertina folder of their work. And this way the child has and so do you, have a record, an exact record of exactly what they're doing and what they've accomplished. And this becomes a testimony as to what they really do know. Let me share with you another material. This is one of our favorites. It's called the movable alphabet. It's movable because it really is. It has all the letters of the ICS of the aleph base. The movable aleph base is made with 3-dimensional wooden letters. So it's very endearing. And what we're going to do is, usually I don't necessarily put this out actually over here, or leave it on a shelf. So the child is going to go for the letter that they're going to identify in just a few moments. And that requires the body to get up and go to the shelf, select the letter, come back, which again is kinesthetic physical intelligence, for which there's plenty of research identifying that the brain is actually activated by physical movement. We know that from the world of exercise. That being the case, sitting behind a desk several hours a day is actually a way to deactivate the brain, shut it down, slow it down, and by having a child actually get up from his seat, go to a shelf and look for the right ice and bring it back is actually helping activate the brain. So it's not a matter of efficiency or economy of time to actually have this right here on the table with the child. It's actually helping the child's mind work faster because he has to go to the shelf and get the material. But be as it may, I'm going to leave this here so that you understand exactly what I'm doing. And I'll bring over, let's say, this tray here with a number of items. We've got a stocker pouch here, a makeshift Sefer Torah, and a Siddur. You could put a yarmulke, you could put a mezuzah, you could put a menorah, miniature items or real items, a Megillah. And the idea here, and I'm just going to briefly explain the theory, a child at the age of 3 is talking, not articulating complete sentences as well as a 5, 6, and 7-year-old, but nevertheless, they are in language acquisition. We're introducing them to ICS. Now, an advantage that we really should take advantage of is the fact that children have in their minds stored hundreds of words. They know these words already, words which they're already familiar with. So, for example, yarmulke, they probably know the word siddur. A 3-year-old might be familiar with a tzedakah, pushka, or a pouch, or a sefer Torah, a Megillah, a mezuzah, tzitzit. There are so many items that we should take advantage of for the fact that the child already has the word in their brain and they're already pronouncing the word. Now, why is that an advantage? Because when we take the word siddur, Moshe, this is a siddur. Can you see? Yeah, it's a siddur. That's where we daven to Hashem from. Siddur, siddur. What's the first sound in siddur? And you specifically want to emphasize that first sound, siddur. Oh, it's a s sound. Oh, which ice makes a s sound? And if you want, point to the aleph base, the black and white aleph base on the wall, which we sing every morning, and then have the child identify, oh, do you want to go over to the aleph base, movable aleph base shelf, and find me a samach? Good, you can find me a samach. So the child will go over. Let's say he finds himself a samach. Where's our samach? Oh, here we are. Good, good. Siddur. What's the next sound in siddur? Da, da, da. Siddur. Da, da, da. Oh, which letter makes a d sound? Oh, it's a dalet. Can you find me a dalet? So he goes over to the shelf, finds me a dalet. Good. Siddur. 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 Which is the next sound in siddur? R sound. It's a r sound. R. Which ice makes a r sound? Oh, it's a resh. And let him find me a resh, assuming that he does this correctly. See, what we really have over here is the following. What the child is going to be doing, and this is before he necessarily has mastery of the vowels, he's already got many vocabulary words in his brain already. And because he's learning the sounds of the letters, he can identify which letter makes which sound, and he's going to be able to spell before he's reading. So this is an amazing, very simple strategy for helping children become very endeared to wanting to read because they're already spelling words which are part of their brain vocabulary. So I'm going to give you an example where, let's say the child makes a mistake and he puts out a sin. And instead of the dalet, pulls out a resh because it looks like it, and then another resh for ra. I will not correct the child. On the contrary, this is good news. Why is it good news? Because he's showing me that, number one, it's completely logical that sin and samach have the same sound. So we're not up to spelling in the conventional sense. We're just learning to match the ice with the sound it makes, and therefore he really is correct. I'm not going to make a deal out of this. Dalet and resh, oh, that's good news. Now I know that maybe I need to spend more time working with materials that will reinforce the difference between a dalet and a resh. But over here I could ask, oh, sidur, sidur. Oh, which ice is this? Now if he tells me it's a dalet, then I'll ask him, oh, and which ice is this? And ask him, can you tell me which is the difference between the two? Or if necessary, since I know he's worked with the aleph-based chart, I can point to the chart or actually take out letters from the fonts that he's familiar with and ask him if he can show me which is the difference between a resh and a dalet. Can you point to the resh? Thank you. Can you point to the dalet? Can you show me what's the difference between the two? Oh, this is a duh sound? Oh, sidur. Can you tell me, is this the right one or do we need to change it for this one? Now, why am I putting everything into question form? So we've covered this in the hashkafa. If I tell the child, Moshe, it's a resh. You said sidur has a duh, sidur, duh, has a dalet. So you need to change this for dalet, okay? Good boy. Now, when I do that, it sounds like, well, that's okay. Not really. Because whenever I correct a child, what am I really telling his brain? I'm really saying, you can't figure this out yourself. And we said many times, the goal of learning is to help the child become independent. So if I'm going to give him the answer to the question, what's my vote of confidence in his intelligence? 0 to 10. 0 is the least, 10 is the most. If I'm giving the answer, what's my vote of confidence? Oh, 0. If I'm asking him a question, Moshe, which one of these is a resh? Which one is a dalet? Can you show me the difference between the two? It's all questions. Oh, when you ask a question, what's the assumption? The person you're asking to, the student in this case, knows the answer. Oh. So what's my vote of trust in his intelligence? My vote of confidence in his intelligence, 0 to 10. 10. Oh. So you're constantly showing the child, he can. I believe you can. I know you can. And what's the proof that I know you can? Why am I asking you otherwise? Oh, because I know you can answer this yourself. So I wouldn't necessarily take the siddur. I would ask him, Moshe, what is this? Oh, it's a siddur, good. This is a sefer Torah. This is a pushka, or a tzedakah box, or a tzedakah. This is a yarmulke, this is a tzitzit. And we'd have all these different items in a basket or a container, and you ask him, could you choose one of these? Oh, a yarmulke? Yarmulke. What's the first sound in yarmulke? Oh, it's a y sound. Which ice makes a y? And pull out, ask him to find a yud, because he said, oh, y is a yud. Good, Moshe, can you find me a yud? Very good. Here's the yud. And then he'll start spelling out m, l, k. So I'm just showing you a material which enables the child to recognize the ice, the sound it makes, and how it matches words which the child already has in his mind and that he's actually articulating. Pesach, Haman, Parai. Now these are not physical objects necessarily. I'm going to share with you in a few moments how we can turn that into a physical material. But right now, these are examples where you pull out physical items, miniature menorah, mezuzah, tzitzit, etc., and the child will be endeared to work on their own. If you want, and I don't have the material here in front of me right now, but if you've got photographs of every child in the classroom, then what you can have is a photo of that child with his Hebrew name underneath, and then what the child has to do is choose his friends from the photo album and you cover up the name underneath, and he has to figure out Moshe, Moshe. And after a while, what you'll have is the child is going to put the photograph here, and he'll look for the mem, and then the shin. He might leave it just as that, as Moshe. He may not hear the hey in Moshe. Oh, Gad. Oh, Gimel. Da, Gad, da, Dalet. And he'll put Gad for Gimel Dalet. And he'll put the names next, the actual letters next to the photo of his friends. And there are so many, with a little bit of creativity, there's so many ways. You can take the exact same idea and extend it into many others, where the child is spending a lot of time learning the shapes of the letters. And as we're going to start in a few moments, the Nakudas as well. The next material I want to introduce you to, which you can get from Torah Educational Software, these beautiful silk bags. In each one has embroidered in gold, not real gold, and ice. So this one, for example, has Gimel. So let's see, what do we have in our Gimel bag? And the answer is miniature objects starting with Gimel. Oh, Glida. Oh, Gamal, a camel. What do we have here? Oh, Gadi, a goat. That's it. So, again, this is a material that if you place it on a mat like this, it's going to be easy for the child to know where are the demarcation lines of his focus. He's going to be focused within this area. Let's start with Moshe. Which one do you want to do first? Glida? Okay, I thought so. Glida is ice cream. Glida, glida, glida. Which is the first sound in glida? Oh, it's a g sound. Which ois makes a g sound? Oh, it's a gimel. Can you find me a gimel? Oh, so he goes and finds me a gimel. Oh, by the way, as he's searching for the gimel, what is he doing? Oh, he's reviewing the shapes of the letters. So there's no time lost while he's screening. On the contrary, it's all review. Oh, very good. What's the next sound in glida, glida, Oh, it's a lamed? Oh, can you find me a lamed? Oh, very good. Glida, glida, da. What's the next sound in glida, da? Oh, it's a dalet? Can you find me a dalet? Oh, thank you. Are there any other letters? And if he says no, that's fine. What you can do, if you have a dictionary, best of all would be Hebrew Illustrated Dictionary, where we can always go to check the spelling, but I'm not up to that. I'm much more interested that the child is recognizing the most pronounced letters in the word glida, and this is going to endear him when he sees, oh my gosh, he's reading glida, because if he knows this is glida, and he's going to be saying to himself, hey, I'm starting to read. And this is without the vowels even. And the reason why I'm not saying you have to do it without the vowels, but I'm saying the child's capable of doing this without the vowels initially, because he already knows certain words in his mind. So gamal, you'll do the same thing, and he'll ga ma ga ma la gamal. Very good. Gadi, gamal, camel. I wonder where the word camel comes from. Gamal and gadi, goat. You can see the g and the d, which are the two most pronounced letters in the word gadi. Goat. So these are ways where the child is going to be endeared to. If he figures it out, he might put in a yud. Here's our little yud. Gadi. Very good. Okay. Moshe, you know where the silk bags are kept on that shelf over there. So whenever you want, you can take out another ice and do some more work. Please do take a photo of it at the end, or call me and I'll take the photo for you. And then we'll put that into your portfolio. So taking the photo becomes part of the way to keep record keeping, and also a great way for a child to quantify the progress they're making, because they might actually want to look through their albums, their portfolios, and notice the progress they're making. Oh, I did that work. Oh, this photo is, I remember doing that work with this. And what ends up happening is the child is getting a reinforced message in his brain. I can. And I can. You know why I know I can? I know I can. Not because my teacher said, good job. Oh, you're so clever. Oh, that's so nice. We don't need any of the praise, which unfortunately sometimes might be an artificial pumping in the mind of the child where it's not correlated to reality. But over here, if the child knows he knows, and he's spelling the words correctly, he's reading them correctly, he's doing the various materials. So this is building the I can muscle. And also with it, he's also building the expectation that I'm going to be able to master another material and another material until he has full mastery of all the letters, all the nakudais, and then we're going to get to blending and reading, etc. So that the most important component here is not the actual mastery of the oisius. That's bonus. That's great, that we do want that. But you know what's the real goal? Well, I'm going to ask you, which is more important? The technical mastery of the letters or the child's relationship to learning? Their love for the oisius. Their love for working with Hashem's perfect, beautiful Lashon Hatorah, Aleph base. And of course we know what's going to create endurance. Is it the child's mastery, being a straight A student, or is endurance really correlated to, I love learning? My natural curiosity is constantly being nurtured and stimulated. Oh, it's the natural desire of a child's craving for discovery and to own it by themselves. That's far more valuable than the actual mastery. The mastery is going to come and is much more likely to come because the child is motivated from the inside out. And that's what we're really talking about. So let's move to another material. We're going to start now with the nakudais. I'm going to touch on a few examples of how we can teach nakudas to the children. I'm going to expand our little mat over here and make it a little bit longer, so you'll see that the area that the child is going to be working in this case, the teacher is going to be working with the child as well, or the children. I'm going to bring examples of the nakudais. So here we have an E. I'm going to teach 5 nakudais in one shot. I know that sounds like a lot, and usually, conventionally, we teach 1 nakuda a week, the nakuda of the week or the ois of the week. Here, I'm more interested in helping the children demonstrate that they are capable of much, much more if we don't go too slow. That's number 1. Number 2, they're capable of much more if we teach children al pi darkei, according to their way. And what happens if you hit, let's say, 6 different ways or 5 different ways in one material? If you're going to hit out of 8 or so intelligences, you're going to hit 3 or 4 or 5 intelligences in any one activity. Guess what's going to happen? The child's going to get it in their strength. So here's a game where I will teach the children, as many as the kids are in the class. Let's say you've got 5, 10 or 15 children in the classroom. You can do this up to this particular activity. You can do up to 15 kids, I would say. I will take out the letters that I've got here, and I will give them out to the class. And this is what I'm going to say to the children. Moshe, I'm giving you these 3 dots. Can you see these 3 dots? It makes an eh sound. Can you say eh? Eh, very good. Chaim, you've got these 2 dots, and it has an A sound. Can you say A? A, very good. Mordechai, you've got the E sound. It's just 1 little dot here. E, can you say E? E, very good. Nehemiah, you've got an sound. Can you say Very good. That's an sound. And Shimon, you've got an U sound. Can you say U? Very good. Now we're going to make music. How are we going to make music? Now, I would have this laid out on a mat. We have actually a psak from, the Square Rebbe, that is not to put the nakudais, or as you're going to see soon the oasis directly on the floor. We'll put it on a mat or on shoe boxes. And I'm going to stand behind the cards. This is on a smaller scale than I ordinarily would do it. And what I'm going to do is we're going to play music. What does that mean? Moshe, you've got the eh sound. Do you remember your sound? Eh, good. I'm going to ask you to sing the eh at any level you want. That means very deep or very high. So you can sing it like or 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 anywhere you want. And what I've got to do is match the way you're singing it. So if you sing I've got to sing or you sing it low, I'm going to sing And what I then have to do is find where is in front of me on the floor, on the mats on the floor. Ordinarily, what I would do is I would space these cards out about 5 or 6 feet apart, and I, the Rebbe Mora, would be standing in the middle. We're going to play music. Mordechai, you're going to sing me the A, good. And you're going to sing me E, very good. Nehemiah, oh, very good. And Shimon, oh, very good. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to sing music. You have to sing your sound, and I have to match it, and then I have to jump without moving my legs apart behind that nakuda. So you sing your Whew, that was an easy one. Ooh. E. Oh, that's easy. E. You notice that I'm going to look at the cards and I'm going to decide which one is the E matching his, because he's holding it in his hand so I can see it, and he's singing it out. E. Phew. Ooh. Very good. And we'll do this a few rounds. That means we're going to have you sing the same one, maybe higher, lower, and you keep making music. And the faster you go, the faster I have to go. Now, here's the, if you want to call it the chachma, the wisdom behind this. How many nakudas am I asking each child to focus on? And the answer is only one, his nakuda. But how many nakudas is he simultaneously learning by osmosis? Oh, 5. Why is that? Because he's hearing and seeing. He's hearing the nakuda that's being sounded out by all the rest of his class, and he's seeing the Rebbe, the Mora, sing it out in correspondence to their singing and jumping behind it. So he's getting the shape and the sound and its association reviewed again and again and again, even though his actual immediate focus is only on his nakuda. So you can have children play this game 3 or 4 rounds, and then we're going to say, okay, let's change the music. Moshe, you give your to Nachum. Nachum, you give your E to Mordechai. Mordechai, you give your to Shimon. And what ends up happening is you switch the cards, and now we'll go through quickly. Moshe, you have A, very good. Nachum, you've got F, very good. You don't know which one this is? Can anyone help us? Oh, it's an U, very good. Mordechai, you have the U. Oh, Shimon, you have the E, etc. And then we'll play this music a few more times. Guess what we do next? After they play the music a few times of switching the round, then guess what we're going to do? Who would like to take my turn? Now, I've been getting a good workout. If it's a 5-6 feet distance between the two outer Isis and Nukudais, and what's going to happen is when I ask who wants to take my turn, some of the kids are going to straight away put their hand up, some are hesitant, some are not interested, and all those are clues to me as to who's getting this quickly and who needs more time, who's not getting it at all. Invariably, what ends up happening is this is a great activity for 4 or 5-year-olds especially, to learn many nikudas in a short amount of time. There's no goal here to teach a lot in a short amount of time. But what I am claiming is if we just trust Chazal and follow Hanachnana al pi darkai, the child will reveal to us where they're up to. Are they up to this? Can they handle this? And if you're going to go darkai and hit the kid on 3, 4, or 5 different darkais in one activity, then the child that would have ordinarily been slow, unintelligent, not getting it, will get it. Because you've got here musical intelligence, you're singing it. 2, sequencing. Oh, that's mathematical intelligence. Oh, you're saying out loud the sound. Oh, that's language intelligence. Oh, you've got physical intelligence because you're jumping behind the letters. Oh, interesting. You've got at least 3 or 4 intelligences taking place in this one activity alone. So between all of them, you're going to have the children getting it. I'd be very honest with you, the first time I taught this to preschool, it was shortly before recess, and then when it was time for recess, the children were complaining to me, why should they go to recess? They're already enjoying themselves. And it took me a split second to chop, oh, of course, recess is to go out and play and enjoy yourself. But what happens if you're already playing, enjoying yourself, and you're in an activity that you're so engaged in that I'm Isaac the mitzvah, Potim in the mitzvah. I'm already in recess. Why do I have to go to recess? I already am there. So it's not unusual that if you're going to have children enjoying what they're doing, that they will be engaged just like a 3-4-year-old is capable of playing in the sand for how long? Until basically Seizer Kochavim, until Shkia. How long will the child be playing washing dishes? 3-4 years old. Oh, it can take for hours. Oh, interesting. Kids will play in the bathtub with their little fish and then for hours. Oh, when a child's engaged, time doesn't exist. And they'll play it as many times as they need till their brain says, I get it. I've got it. I'm ready for the next level. So this is a great activity. I'm just going to touch on this briefly because I want to share with you, I haven't done blending yet, but this works for everything. You see, you can play this game for, if I would have, let's say, 5 heys, I'll put hey, 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 hu, ha, he, hey, he. And you'll have the children, I'll give them out, you can actually write this out very quickly on cards, for the children to have a hey with a seirei and a segol and a shuruk and a hirik and the comments. Oh, so you can have the children playing this game where they're blending as well and where they're recognizing. You know, you can get the ISIS with the dial at the bottom where you turn the dial, and on this circular dial are all the nekudais. So you can have under any single ice, you can have a e, a, u, a, etc. So you can use those for that material for this game as well. So that you can do this for words as well, but we're not up to vocabulary yet. I'm just sharing with you that this has many other extensions. So once they're ready, once they've done a lot of ices with same ice with the different nakudais, then they're ready for. Let's do. What's this? Oh, who? Very good. Mem with a sound. Good. Ma. Very good. Ge. Yay, yay, good, yay. Chi, good, very good. If you're Sephardi and you can pronounce it properly, it's not chi, it's hi. Okay, very good. So now we're going to play the game. You write out very quickly. It only takes a couple of seconds each one, or have the kids write it if they can read their writing, and write out a hey and mem with the comets, a gimel with a segol, yud the seirei, and ches with a hirik, and give out those cards and have them sing. And I'll jump behind it. Once you've taught them this game, they're good for playing it on their own. And then that frees you up to observe and watch the children, who's getting it, who's hesitant, who understands it, doesn't need to play that game anymore, they're ready for much more. And this enables you to work one-on-one. That's really Al Pi Darkai. So this is one of the favorite activities that can really engage children and have them learning very fast, a lot of information, and not in an artificial pressure way. It's real. It's very real. The children really know their stuff. As the children are going to be ready, you can actually teach them the names, and if they're actually reading, they'll be able to match the cards. Then with the same cards, they can play match memory. What would that mean? That as they're starting to read, I'm skipping a few stages here, but they can play match memory where they're going to pick up a card, comets. Oh, it's a pasach. Nope. Now it's your turn. So you can have lots of games where they're going to be playing games and they're going to be learning the names of the nekudais. You can do the same with the aleph base. You can have written out aleph and you can have a ois aleph and they'll play match memory games.